So I, for one, look forward to the day when I open my mailbox and that direct mail piece says, "Hi, Todd." Wouldn't that be neat? Huh? Or the opportunity for a light to come on when you open that piece of mail. So a lot of the things that Brad spoke to us there, that is the future of print. That's those printed electronics and opportunities that we take, and the use of those substrates beyond that of paper, like Frank spoke of last night. So exciting times. Just a couple of things I have to expand upon Brad's point around Sonora. For those USNC customers are here, he talked about a 24% growth rate. I got to brag, we did 38% in the USNC, and we actually shipped more than 50 million square feet. 50 million square feet of Sonora last year. It is our second largest product in the United States. So very, very good. We move forward. So we're going to now expand upon a lot of what Tad spoke of last night and focus on that value of print and where some of our designers and people are taking print for the future. So we're going to move on to a panel discussion on the value of print. And I invite Gareth Ward to come to the podium here with his team. And Gareth is the editor of the print business, and he will share a discussion with us on the value of print. So Gareth and your team.
Right, this follows on from the stuff last evening. Frank's presentation was obviously about the US, but it could equally have been about the UK and Europe. We've seen the same concentration, the same consolidation of printers there, and we've seen the same trends and pressures, and the same sort of people looking for the way out, looking for things to do, to escape from that, and to prove that there is a strong future for print, though it will, of course, be very different from the past. Many people, as Tad showed us, still believe in the power of print, and he's part of the panel today to continue that discussion, to explain why. So, first of all, I'd like to ask the panelists to introduce themselves briefly. Cordell. Yeah, grab.
My name is Cordell Cordaro. I'm a local Rochester artist. My wife and I have been full-time artists for probably 9 years now, 10 years. I am also a publisher of an art magazine called Art House Press, and the third issue is a national now, in over 630 Barnes and Nobles across the nation, and I'm just happy to be here. So nice to meet you all.
Hey guys, I'm Tad Carpenter. You heard me talk long enough last night. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer. I run a design and branding studio in Kansas City, Missouri with my wife. But outside of that, I also write and illustrate children's books. I've written and illustrated nearly 25 books in the market at the moment. I come from a family of children's authors and illustrators. My father's illustrated over 50 children's books in the market. So children's literacy and the value of the book is always been a very, very big issue for me and my family. So,
hi, I'm John Myers. I'm a local photographer and cinematographer. I've been in business for 30 years. I started my career at Kodak as a photo assistant back when the studio had like 12 photographers. So anybody who's been around a long time, that was a great experience for me. I've been working with Kodak on various projects through my whole career, and directly with the company on research. I worked in digital photography when they first got the first cameras back in I think it was the mid-90s. I started working on that information, and then I do a lot of work with print and do love it, and work a lot with Nexpress, and that's why I'm here.
Well, while you're there, John, can you start us off? How has the way that you use print, or how your experience of print, both professionally and socially in your private life, how has that changed over that 30-year period?
Oh my, it's changed so much. You know, in the business, when we first, if you remember my career back, early in my career, when we would do we get work by showing our portfolio. And the portfolio used to be traditional prints, or they would be inkjet prints later on. And now there's art buyers all over the country that look at our work through the internet on websites, and they create PDFs when they want to select a photographer to do their work. So I was aghast one time. I went to an art buyer's office in New York. I looked at her screen. Her screen wasn't color calibrated. It was gray. I mean, it was horrible. So they're judging my work by looking at some terrible picture that used to look like my picture. So printed pieces are so important to me now. I mean, I was so blown away by digital and how beautiful my work can look. And that's the only way that I can now show my work to people, because I don't ask for portfolios anymore. It's sending out promo pieces that show the work how I want it to be shown. And I was afraid of digital photography for many years, and just because of my belief. But now I'm a firm believer in it. My last piece, I did a plated piece, which you probably have seen. A few guys have seen that. And I was so blown away by the quality of it, you know, because it really represented what our work was. Now it's because of the internet, because of PDFs going everywhere showing our work. This is the only way I can directly talk to really sophisticated consumers and show them exactly how I want my work to look. So
there's no compromise.
Yeah, no compromise like it used to be. Yeah, exactly right.
I was pretty changed.
Gosh, it's changed. Yeah, I mean, for our design studio, it's really what our clients are asking for. A lot of times it's changed. I mean, even 10, 12 years ago, so much of when we developed a brand new machine for somebody, that in-output was a stationary system and some additional printed pieces. Now, the things we are printing are so drastically different than they were just 10 years ago. I shared a little bit of the Boulevard work we were doing last night, where I don't think 10 years ago I would imagine that we'd be printing on so many different substrates. We printed on wood, we printed on metal, we printed on plastics, we printed on vinyls, and all kinds of different applications to then install and create these experience spaces. I think people really love being able to go and experience things and interact with objects, and obviously document it on their phones and things like that, right? So creating these environments that a lot of times we're doing through printed substrates is really exciting. And having people that are open to trying new ways of printing has been really exciting. Some of the vendors and printers just like you guys that we work with all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would endorse that. It's a very grey world 30 or so years ago compared to now. Cordell, obviously, the baby of the panel. But
I guess I'm with Ted on as an artist, as far as being able to print on different objects or substrates, as you were saying, and as far as not just paper, or if it's paper, what kind of ink is it? What else? What kind of textures are on the paper? As a publisher, I'm also thinking kind of ahead. How you were talking about technology. How will, in a digital age, where is print in that? So how can you interface with print in the future? Is it, instead of just reading it, how does it work with your phone? How does it, are the printed like digital, inside the print within the inks and stuff like that. So I guess that's what I'm also interested in.
Right, we'll come back to that, I hope, certainly. So what is it why did you choose print when you could easily have put everything up on a web page and published your art stuff through a web page? What's so important about print for you?
We started off as a blog, an art blog, and we were doing articles online, and that was cool. It worked, but I feel like when I'm online reading something, a lot of times I'm just scrolling through. Like, I'll try to keep my attention on something, but it's hard to. Even if it's like beautiful looking, I'm just still kind of scrolling through, next page, and I feel like print is kind of like a quiet. It's there's so much going on nowadays that print offers you just a piece in that moment. You get to thoughtful thinking if you're reading a book or if you're looking at a print or a work of art. And so I think that's what the print for me is still very strong.
Yeah, and I think I spoke about it a little bit last night too. That I'm not the sharpest tool in the toolbox by any stretch of the imagination, but there's something about being able to retain information from print that I think is a lot stronger than digital. And again, that could just be me, but I've seen studies that speak to that. And to me, there's such a value when you put it on paper, you're elevating the value of that information that you're sharing. And me, at least, I can speak as a designer. God, I love collecting things, and I have a library of art magazines and books and all kinds of things that I love to reference all the time. And a lot of times when there's a blog I really like, I might pin something from it or save it somewhere. I sure as shit ain't going back to it normally, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest, I'm not going back. But at my library, when I have all these wonderful books and printed things that I reference with my students, I reference with my employees and my team, there's something very collaborative about that I love. I love it. And I always tell, you know, it's like, I teach at the University of Kansas, and I love being around young designers and young creative people, and hearing about all the mischief they get into as 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. And I always tell them, you know, any advice when you go out tonight at the bars and you have a good time and you're having fun, and if you find someone, you go home with that person, if they don't have very many books, get the hell out of that place right away. That's my advice to them.
So John, well, why is it your, as far as your customers, your clients?
Well, these guys are my customers, so, and he just said it, what I was going to say. I've done promo pieces for years, and people keep them like little tiny gems, because now everybody's got an e-blast, and they trash, and there's no impact. So, you know, when they get a printed piece that's really well done, and I try to get my work done really well designed, because I think I want to speak the same language as the people that are hiring me, so they see this printed piece that I cared enough to get it well designed and get beautiful printing, and like I said, they're like little gems. I get people that save those all the time, and that's the whole name of the game for me. I want to make sure they remember me when they have a project and things like that. So that's why I think printing is so important.
I'm going to throw one in, because the idea that designers collect things is universal. I mean, I remember in London a couple of years ago, we went to a presentation. One of the very nice printers in London produces a notebook every year, and he works with a designer, and they use different themes. And the designer this time had gone to a garage sale, a car boot fair as we call them, and had found a packet of ephemera. And he opened the ephemera, and it was all about a young girl's life, a student, 22 years old, her experience in Heidelberg. Now this guy uses a Heidelberg press. So this is fantastic, because all the tickets for the opera, diary entries, all sorts of things. And he said we had to produce the notebook, that year's notebook, around this ephemera. And then they tried to find the woman who had put this together, and they found her. Eventually, unfortunately, she died, and they found her husband, and her husband came down. And the emotions that were attached to how a young English girl had found Heidelberg about in the early 60s, and her experiences were brought to life and made much more relevant through print, through the connection with Heidelberg. And I think that's the guys at Heidelberg are going to use that story in one of their pieces. So we all love print. So why is it everybody's talking about the internet? What is it why are all the designers, all the marketing people pushing? What is it that they're missing about print that they should understand, that these guys need to be communicating back?
Sure. I'm preaching to the choir here a little bit, the value of print, I think, up here, but I'm blown away, and I share this with my clients all the time. Printing a piece really isn't that expensive if you're smart about how you approach it and what you use. I know we do digital marketing campaigns sometimes for clients and run the numbers of that versus doing a really, really well-designed, elevated piece. And the numbers aren't very different, and I think at least my clients are always incredibly surprised by that. Because let's be honest, a lot of times the bottom line is the number, the cost of things sometimes dictate which direction you move in for a campaign, and there's normally not a huge difference. And to what John and I were talking about a moment ago, the value of being able to hang on to that piece. I have printed portfolio pieces from photographers that I've had for 10 years in a flat file, still, and I reference those all the time. I'm never going to save anything on there. That's just digitally out there. Now, digital, of course, there's huge advantages to it. I mean, information can get out there so quickly, and sometimes you can get it to a lot more people. But the ultimate value of it, I don't know if it's equal to the printed page.
So how do we get those guys, John? How do we get these guys who want to use the internet, the marketers, the catalogers, those guys, how do we get them excited about how we use print? Is that down to fantastic photography? I hope it is.
Well, I think by augmenting everything, I mean, everything supports everything, a number of views you have on things. So if I can send out an e-blast that has a picture, I win an award for an image, but then it comes as a printed piece, all those touches, you know, multiple touches from all the different mediums and all the different places are what going to get. I think it takes like 7 to 10 touches for people to like start recognizing you and things like that. So I think I do like other marketing, other areas, but the print piece is that little gem that they get to keep. You know, it's so fleeting on the internet. I mean, it's so fleeting on the web. It's just, you know, it depends on your day, depends on your mood, you know, how you're going to affect it. But I think that if you can keep on supplementing, you know, digital and print, I think those are the things that makes a strong positive message about whatever you're trying to do.
This is a random anecdote, but like I think it's really interesting how the internet is incredibly influenced by what print designers are doing. This is years and years ago now, but there's a designer I've always really admired, and his name's Nicholas Felton. And he started a passion project. I'm a huge proponent for designers and creative people doing passion projects of some sort, which I'm assuming is very similar to why you started a publication. But Nicholas started this thing where literally he was designing an annual report for himself every year about his life. It literally, so every year he would publish an annual report and it would say, I downloaded 1,900 songs, ate 1,400 meals out, you know, went to 19 movies, documented his entire life in an annual report that he printed, published, and then literally just sold on his website. But it was so beautifully designed every year. It sold out within moments every single year. He was printing these annual reports of just about his life. And he did this for years, and you can see this catalog of annual reports he was designing on his life. Well, the internet was very aware of it. Nicholas was eventually hired by Facebook. And if you remember about 7 to 8 years ago, when Facebook made a huge switch to the new timeline that they use, that was 100% based on Nicholas Felton's printed annual reports he was doing personally. He was brought into Facebook to bring his concept onto the platform of Facebook, which was 100% influenced by the work of print and these annual reports he was designing, which I just think is an incredible way that those things are kind of living together a little bit, yeah.
Cordell, you were talking about how you see the printed page and the electronics and going beyond what is actually on the page to interact and to come up with some digital interaction. So can you explain a bit more about how you see that going?
Just speak real quick to the last question too.
Yeah, of course.
I kind of feel like print is also like a luxury. It could be like a new luxury item, or like you know, like you guys are saying, like print stays with you. You know, everybody's got Apple Watches, and they promoted that as like a luxury item. And I know for our magazine that we put so much attention into the aesthetics, the design. You know, it's an art magazine, so we want the artwork to look good on the page. You know, perfect bound, just the texture, everything. So I think that could be one avenue for print, is to kind of promote it as this luxury, something that is its own entity outside of digital, because everything's digital. But as far as the other question, I think like just interfacing with the pages. So I think Brad was talking about the 8 kids to one book. Like if that one book, somehow you can use the phone or something to get more information out of that book. You know, Bluetooth, if there's sound incorporated, I don't know, you know, what the technology is, but like to bring that paper to life more than, I mean, obviously you got your imagination, but to bring more out of it, that's. You know,
so one of your animal books, your barnyard animal books, you could have noises incorporated in there.
Yeah, you absolutely could, and I know there's lots of books that are starting to do things like that. You know, and to me, just I mean, you know, last night was spoken about how, you know, publishing is actually on the uptick the last couple of years with being able to do print on demand and things like that. And I can speak specifically to children's literature. You know, even when publishing in general was taking a big hit, to be honest, children's literature never was taking that much of a decrease in sales. And just the past couple of years, it's up higher than it's been in a very long time. I think, personally, the experience of reading children's literature is so vastly different than other types of reading. I don't want to put my kid to bed at night with a giant illuminated surface in front of them, reading a book to them when they're trying to go to sleep, That's not the shared experience I want to have with that kid, The idea of you or the adult in that child's life reading this book with them and going into all these wonderful imaginary places together is an amazing gift to give someone. And I know that's what I hope that myself and Kodak can continue to do with Print for Good, is that the fact that there's homes in this country that don't have a single book just breaks my little dead heart, And when we go into these schools and meet these kids, I showed a quick photo last night of being at a school in Austin, and none of those kids had ever owned a book before. And it broke my heart when I handed it to them as they walked out the door, and they said, when do I need to return this to you by? And I was like, no, man, this is yours. You take this home. This is your book. That should never happen. And hopefully, myself and Kodak can do a little bit to change that.
Great. I mean, you can't follow that. What is it, guys, that you're looking for from these people? What is it? What do you want to get back from them? Do you want ideas from them, or are you going to provide them with ideas? How do you want to change that relationship, which has been a supplier-buyer type relationship previously? Are you looking for ideas? Are you providing them ideas? Are you looking for fulfillment? Are you looking for different types of things? Obviously, Tad has shown us about printing on all sorts of weird and wonderful things, so clearly that's a skill or somebody needs to build a litho printing press that is capable of printing doors. But what is it these guys can take away from you about how you want to work with them?
I think the better they educate the people that are buying the print. I know that I worked a lot with Kodak, and I got to understand the capabilities which I didn't even know was available. A lot of things that I didn't know that they could take my imagery and improve the quality of the final piece by a lot of different technical things. I'm the least qualified in terms of printing here, but but in terms of like all the different kinds of printing techniques that they use, like in the next press, I was just blown away by that. So the more they can educate us that what we can do and be partners with designers and people that use the end product and what the capabilities are, I think that's the most important thing they could do. Because there's so much, it happens so fast, and you don't even realize you can do this stuff, and it's just a dream, and it's amazing.
So these guys are keeping the secrets?
No. Maybe because you're busy in your own life, you're little, and you don't realize the possibilities and all the things that keep on changing and evolving. I learned a lot just this morning, and I got my head spinning already about things I could do down the road with print.
Taji, you gave us the example yesterday of the ASIC shoe, thermochromic inks. I don't know how many people have seen something that IKEA did in Australia, where they actually took samples of urine to check whether somebody was pregnant or not. Because you drop that onto the page. If you were pregnant, which clearly I wasn't going to be, it would then come up with an offer against a baby's cot. Now, I don't know where that idea came from or how that was executed, which inks or how it was put together. But what a fabulous use for print in the future. It goes beyond the ASIC shoes, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. And to me, that's probably a perfect example of, the best projects are when they're 100% collaborative, and that's collaborative as me, a designer, that guy that's bringing files to you that are all jacked up that you have to fix, it's that collaboration with designer and printer, and normally probably just like that campaign you were talking about there. I bet a designer maybe had an idea in that printer, that vendor that they were working with was like, you know what we could do? We have the capability of trying, because I know as a designer, I wouldn't even know that was something that could, that's incredible to me. And I'm sure that that's an example of a great collaboration between a creative team and a really successful printing company.
Cordell, how do you want to work with print in the future? How do you see your company, your ideas being executed in print? Is it about the materials that it's printed on? Is it about the formats? Is it about the colours?
I kind of agree with John. I agree with John as far as you know. I don't know all the like the inks and the colors. I don't know what the capabilities of, say, Kodak are. We use an Express for our magazine, but I think if you guys like promote to us or promote different channels what it is that is excellent about your inks, your colors, so that we could carry that on to our customers, that would be huge. Because I think people, I don't know if, when I say take for granted print sometimes, but you know, they got their home printers, they print it out, and colors color, whatever. Like, so really to promote what's fantastic about, you know, what's coming out of these printers. And as far as being an artist, I'm going to be working with Kodak on just a few cool art prints, you know, and using different inks and textures. And I think, you know, art is like $1 billion industry, so that's a huge segment that like could be, you know, looked into as far as, you know, an artist probably have no idea, or a lot of them, what the capabilities are.
So you've got these people with the printing machines with Kodak have got a responsibility to promote the capabilities of print, the additional colours, the textures, some of the UV type technologies, some of the tactile type things that you can do with print now.
I just want to say something real quick about the plated piece, you know, because I'm a photographer, I see a lot of people with it, and people ask me, once they get the, I would sometimes be there when they got the printed piece. And I can't tell you how many times people wanted me to give me like the number for the person who printed it, you know, or what printer did this piece, or they had no idea that this amazing thing could come out of a digital press. And I've never had that happen in 30 years where people were like, I don't know, who do I call? Like Greg at Kodak? I don't know, because it was amazing. So that was really a testament to me that a printed piece can really have a positive effect on the customer.
So, you know, at one point we were talking about like what are some of the bigger differences now versus, you know, in the past. And I'll be honest, I was a total printing snob about 15 years ago, man. When anybody, this is probably a bad thing, like when they would say, well, we could just print it digitally. I was like, hell no, I'm not printing that thing digitally, man. I do not trust that at all. And holy cow, it is advanced. I mean, especially since then, but even in the past 5 or 6 years, there's times where you could set it next to offset pieces, and I can't tell the difference normally. And that's incredible. And I think that's one of the, you know, challenges is educating people like us up here on the capabilities that you guys can offer. Because I think a lot of times I have no idea. Some of the stuff Brad was just talking about, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? We can do that? Like, that's actually something that can happen? I didn't know that. So somehow trying to educate your future clients that this is a reality and that how you can help them, I think that's a huge gap that needs to be filled at the moment in some way, just because you guys are advancing so quickly that we just aren't aware of it a lot of times.
Right, well I think that our time is pretty well up. I just want to touch on something that happened in the UK last week. A company called KFC ran out of chicken. There were stores, have about 900 stores in the UK. 700 of them couldn't get any chicken. They changed distribution company and they couldn't get the chicken to the stores. And there were signs up all over the place. World's worst PR. And at the end of the week, they took one ad in a London paper, and there was the bucket of KFC, the KFC bucket that everybody identifies with the white and the red stripes. And instead of KFC, it said FCK. And underneath was the apology. We messed up, we fucked up. That ad appeared in one paper. It probably cost them £20,000 to put that ad in. That went viral all over. Everybody in the UK must have seen that at some point, either on Facebook, or on Twitter, or Instagram, or something. That is the power of print. It got them out of a huge hole on that in this instance, and I think they've recaptured some of the goodwill that they probably lost over the previous 7 days. But I'd like to thank the panel. I'd like you to thank the panel with me.